Bit of safety advice now,
Yes,
if you don't mind. Yeah, there's the island population doubles at this time of the year. So we actually in June and July, July and August is the season when all the holiday makers come down. You probably notice the roads are a little bit busier, and basically I'm here to give some safety advice to the listeners, particularly on Sheppey. We've got a lot of cliffs, and we've got a lot of mud out there, and there are dangerous cliffs, although they're not sort of 400-foot drops. They are dangerous in terms of if you fall off them and you go into the mud, you're likely to kill yourself. Sheppey Coastguard itself is equipped, and it's unusual because there's not many teams out of the 400 who do all three sort of searches. We do mud rescue and cliff rescue, as well as search on land search management. We're one of the few teams that actually has all three disciplines. But although if you think about cliffs, although the dangers of getting too close to the edge of cliffs might seem obvious, we are nevertheless regularly summoned to the aid of persons or animals who have fallen and are often quite badly injured. We are trained and equipped to extricate the casualties as safely as possible for medical treatment. Mud rescue, the perils of soft mud and quicksand around Sheppey may be less obvious to the unwary, but it can be just as deadly, and our rescue teams have specialised equipment, and we've recently been training in some new techniques in terms of mud rescue in relationship to our the sledges we actually use and some of the onboard equipment. And we went down to Stangate Creek recently, right, for an evening's exercise, which was most interesting, getting ourselves up to speed with all the new equipment. So the first thing I'd like to make people aware of is keep away from cliffs and watch all the mud out there. Well, the general advice I'd give out first, as I've already emphasised, is to keep off any cliff edges, particularly important because certainly some of ours get undercut, and if you stand on the edge, boom, it gives way and off you go. Don't always swim close to the shoreline. Don't drink and drown. Eating and drinking before swimming may give you the cramps. Drinking alcohol and going to the sea is dangerous. It slows your reactions, increase the chances of hypothermia, and your judgment of distance will be impaired. So never catch me drinking alcohol and actually swimming. Normally two together, Daniel. There's a joke there. No, I'm only kidding. No, don't drink and drown. Alcohol and swimming don't mix. Check the weather and tides before you leave home. You don't want to get swept away. Always wear sun cream. People get sunburnt quite badly. If you're surfing, windsurfing, make sure you've got someone looking out. Don't go out alone. And if you've got safety people on, keep them near you. Don't go out on your windsurf and go tearing off towards Holland and find you can't get back and there's no one around to alert. Not a very good idea. Basically, there's lots of hazards on beaches, not particularly in our area, but we do get sudden rip currents, underflows, large breaking waves on certain beaches. And I'd just like to mention a couple of things, if I may, in terms of children. Important to supervise the children at all times. Need to know where and the children need to know where the parents are too. Now, thousands of children are lost every year, but most are found within a few minutes. Try not to panic if you lose a child. You need to actually keep you calm and give very clear directions to people and actual clear descriptions as to where those people are likely to be or where the last known position it was. And also the big advice is inflatables. Now, every year we get a number of incidents regarding inflatables. Please, adults, keep your children supervised. Tie them to a line or a rope and keep them supervised at all times, because we do get quite a number of children being blown out to sea on Sheppey. And take a note of all the surroundings. We've got lifeguards on the beaches. See where the safe areas are to swim. Enjoy yourself, but be aware of all the dangers.
And we're going through the incidents that the Coast Guard have covered since Ian was last on air here at the Monday Night Community Show.
Okay, going on to Friday the 8th, we were paged in the evening to assist Kent Police in the search for a missing male from the Laysdown area. who had not been seen since the previous day. The teams were split into two, and the search was carried out by Team Alpha going towards Warden Point, with Team Bravo heading towards Shellness. Once the teams had completed their objectives, the Alpha team were asked to hold their positions while the search team Bravo were transported to the top of the cliffs at Warden Springs caravan site, where they deployed a parachute illumination flare. Once the flare had been fired, the area was visually searched, but nothing was seen. We were stood down until the next day. The next day, my colleague and I, Henry Ranger, and myself spent another 7 hours searching the whole of the coastal areas, right from Shellness, right along from Minster. We did actually find 3 youths who were sort of passed out on the beach, but we called the police to them, and they were dispersed. But we found nothing. We went in for all the fleets, unfortunately had a very tragic ending, that particular one, very sad ending a few days later. On Saturday the 9th of July, Tuesday the 12th of July, we were paged to a report of a vessel being beaten onto a lee shore at East Church Gap by a northeasterly force 5 wind. We attended the East Church, where 3 male occupants were removed from the craft, safe and well, but the craft broke up by the waves shortly after the occupants were extracted, so it was really getting bashed around. Later that evening, we were asked to meet go to the all-tide landing to meet the Sheerness all-weather lifeboat, as they were tying a 34-foot Moody class yacht Nebula, which had suffered engine failure, believed to be from contaminated fuel. The vessel had been in tow from the Mapling Sands, where they'd been in danger of running into the sandbars. Both persons on board were slightly shaken but otherwise unharmed. On Thursday the 14th in the evening, we were requested to assist Herne Bay Coastguards in a search on a missing male, but we were stood down en route as the male had been found by Kent Police. Friday the 15th, in the early hours of the morning, we were paged by Thames Coastguard to locate a despondent male who was last seen at Blaw's Wharf, which is near Riverside Country Park. Again, the person was located by the Kent Police and taken into care. On Saturday the 15th of July, again we were asked to attend the all-tide landing after a report was received of a disturbance on a vessel. On arrival at the scene, the vessel, Flynn Explorer, was being spoken to by the Kent Police RIB. Before departing the steam, we were alerted to a cabin cruiser with engine problems, and the Kent Police RIB towed the vessel back to the all-tiding landing. Friday the 22nd of July, in the evening, again, we were asked to go to the all-tide landing, where the Sheerness all-weather lifeboat were towing back a 12-metre yacht, which had fouled its propeller after running aground at Cheney Spit. Everything was okay with people and appropriate safety advice. Saturday the 23rd in the morning, again, the Sheerness all-weather lifeboat towing a broken-down fishing vessel, but it ended up in Gillingham. Friday the 29th in the evening, reports we received of a fire on the beach at the Sheerness, the lifeguard hut at Sheerness. We attended the scene and met with the Kent Fire and Rescue Service, who had been tasked, but found there was a London evangelical church conducting a service on the beach, and the fires were incense burners they were using. No danger to life, so we were passed on. And finally in July, 2 incidents on the 31st. One, in the morning, we were alerted by a member of the public to a 3.5 metre rib which had broken down off Sheerness seafront. The Sheerness inshore lifeboat diverted from their training exercise and towed the vessel back in, and we passed on relevant safety advice. Then in the evening, we were paged to attend Chetney Marsh, where a yacht had been heard to transmit a very faint Mayday distress call. Sheerness inshore lifeboat and the Kent Police RIB Seahorse conducted an area search around the Stangate Creek, but found nothing. We relocated to Basser Hill and were able to get a visual on the casualty high and dry near to the King North Power Station. The Sheerness inshore lifeboat made contact with the casualty to ascertain that the crew were okay and they remained on board and refloated at the next high water. Going into the August Monday the 1st in the evening, again towing back a 20-foot yacht, the Sheerness all-weather lifeboat. We went to the Queenborough all-tide landing. They had broken their rudder and was sailing round in circles, unfortunately, in one of the creeks. They were towed back to the all-tide landing. Tuesday the 2nd in the afternoon, there was a report of an inflatable being blown offshore from Laysdown seafront and drifting towards Sheerness. Whitstable lifeboat was launched to assist, and we got a visual on the casualty. Once the Whitstable lifeboat arrived on sea, they ascertained that the vessel in question was anchored and fishing, so proceeded to conduct a search of the shoreline from Warden Point through to Sheerness, and nothing untoward was found. In the afternoon, a bit later on, broken down vessel at Motney Hill with 4 persons on board. Sheerness inshore lifeboat was tasked to Ottoman Quay and located the casualty craft drifting without any power, and no anchor had been laid out. Was taken to tow into Gillingham Marina. Wednesday the 3rd, 2 incidences, one in the late afternoon, one early evening. Report of a capsized dinghy off the Lazy Days caravan park at Eastchurch Gap. Whitstable lifeboat attended and ascertained that the object in the water was a cabin from the craft, which had beached at the base of the cliffs on the 2nd of July. So they took the object back into tow to Whitstable. In the evening, a report of 2 persons on the mud at the Sheerness lifeguard station. We attended the scene and spoke with the persons concerned. They weren't actually, they were just out on an evening stroll and were not in any distress. And finally, on Thursday the 4th, in the afternoon, a report of a vessel taking on water and sinking off Sheerness. Whitstable lifeboat was launched to assist and met with the casualty as they were making their way back to Faversham Creek. With the engine running again, the craft was able to discharge the water which it had taken on board, and the Whitstable lifeboat escorted the vessel into Faversham. Those are up to date, all the incidents.
We are talking to Ian Goodwin from the Sheppey Coastguard here at the Monday Night Community Show, our regular visitor coming in normally once every couple of months.